everyone. Let's audit my 2025 life so far. So everyone is posting their 2025 wins right now. The growth, the milestones, the glow ups. This video isn't that. 2025 didn't give me the outcome I thought it would. Some plans didn't move, some efforts stayed invisible, but quietly, this year still changed me. And I felt like I deserved a real conversation, not a highlight reel. When I sat down to prepare for this, I realized something uncomfortable. Most of the important things that happened to me this year didn't look impressive from the outside. They looked repetitive, ordinary, sometimes even stagnant. But when I actually traced the year properly with numbers, habits, patterns, I saw how much shifted underneath. I think YouTube is where that realization started. I entered 2025 believing consistency would naturally lead to progress. Not virality, not fame, just consistently uploading videos. I showed up every single week. I changed my content 2 to 3 times because I was still figuring out how I wanted to speak. I completed a full series of spirituality. I kept rewriting scripts, scrapping ideas, re-recording when things didn't feel right. And by the end of the year, I was still at 223 subscribers, not even 1000. That number forced me to confront something I didn't expect to struggle with. Not disappointment, but ego, I guess, because effort doesn't always convert into visible results. And that truth hits differently when you have genuinely showed up. YouTube humbled me down. I seriously thought I would reach 10k subscribers by uploading consistently. It asked me the same question again and again. And that question was, if this stays small, will I show up again? And somehow I did. Some weeks with discipline, some weeks with excitement, and some weeks because quitting would have hurt me more than continuing it.
That discipline slowly started spilling into other aspects of my life, especially money. This was the first year I didn't loosely know my finances. I actually tracked them, not aesthetically, but by writing down them every single month. I'm not going to talk about my income. That part of my life is private and I intend to keep it that way. But I'm going to talk about my spending because spending tells the truth about how you live, right? So let's start with the sources of my income. I had 4 sources of income this year. 2 of them carried most of the responsibility. 2 were much smaller. YouTube wasn't an income. It was rather an expense for me, and I accepted that consciously. One of my biggest adult wins this year was something that doesn't look exciting online at all. I finally sorted out my health insurance and my life insurance, both. This had been pending in my head for a few years, and getting it done gave me a kind of peace I didn't know I was missing. It made the future feel less fragile. Now, when I look at my actual spending in 2025, it tells a very clear story. So let me start with the basics. So for 9 months of the years, my rent was 14,400 per month. For the remaining 3 months, it increased to 15,200. That brings my total rent for the year to 1,77,600. From February onwards, I hired a cook and paid rupees 5,500 per month. For 11 months, that comes around rupees 60,500. There were stability decisions, they weren't luxury. Then comes my EMIs. I had 3 different EMIs running across the year. One EMI was rupees 8,337 per month for all 12 months, totaling to 1,44,000 rupees. The second EMI was rupees 3,452 per month until October. That was totaling to 34,520 rupees. A third EMI started in November, which is around 34,539 rupees per month, totaling to 69,078 for this particular year. Just in EMIs alone, I paid 2,03,642 in 2025. Then came the number that truly humbled me. My total credit card spent across 2025 was around 5,08,557. That number wasn't reckless, but it was revealing. It included all my daily life expenses, subscriptions, necessities, and so on. Still, seeing it written down forced accountability. Food was another mirror. Despite hiring a cook, I leaned on convenience more than I should have. I spent 5,663 on Swiggy, 29,385 rupees on Zomato, 2,044 rupees on Bistro, 2,638 on Zepto Cafe. These were all ordering food, not even going out and having fun or anything as such. That came to a total of 39,730 rupees on outside food. So these mostly include my desserts, coffee, pasta. These are my go-to dishes. So I kind of have a bad habit, I would say. So I usually end up ordering a lot of food on the weekends and binge watching my favorite shows. So yeah, I definitely need to cut this down. So I've come up with a strategy next year. So every time I feel ordering food, I would put that amount into some kind of mutual funds. It could be liquid funds or mutual funds. So the main two reasons for this decision is, first, I want to cut down outside food, especially cut down sugar, and this will automatically lead to clear skin, and it also will help me stay healthy and fit. Third, I don't want to spend unnecessary money. I don't want to spend money on unnecessary food when I already get home cooked food. So mainly looking at health wise, I would like to divert this towards savings or investments, because I feel this is a big amount for someone who has home cooked food available all throughout the days. So yeah, so this food ordering wasn't out of hunger, wasn't out of comfort, just a bad habit, I would say. Now let's look into travel. Earlier in the year, I took a Karnataka trip. I went to Sringeri, Murdeshwara, Udupi, Belur, Halebeedu. That trip felt grounding, familiar, almost like returning to something ancient and steady. Later part of the year came my first international trip. I went to London and Scotland. And I want to talk about this properly because it's important to be honest here. That trip wasn't just flights and hotels. It came with preparations. So this was a business trip. So flight cost was completely taken up by my company. So the business trip was for 4 years, and I basically took a vacation for another 8 to 10 days. So again, for those 4 days, the hotel charges and the breakfast was borne by the company, but remaining all the expenses had to be borne by me. And for the remaining 8 to 10 days, I'm going to just list out the items that cost me money. So the preparation cost involved buying winter clothes, normal clothes, shoes, bags, suitcases. I wanted to buy a camera, so I bought a camera, then toiletries, forex, physical currency, even internal travels, stays, and gifts. So when I actually added up everything connected to that trip, the cost came around 3,10,000 rupees. I'm saying this out loud, not with guilt, but with clarity. That trip wasn't impulsive. It was planned. It was intentional. It was my first international trip, and it expanded my world in a way numbers can't fully capture. It taught me independence. It taught me how introverted I really am. Not shy, not socially awkward, just someone who doesn't want to talk to people too much, just someone who doesn't enjoy filling silence. Even though I met a lot of people, I just wanted my space. I just wanted to not talk too much, just up to myself. I liked walking alone. I loved observing a lot of things and people. Being quiet in a group was my thing. So yes, that stayed in that trip as well. London made me feel capable, whereas Scotland made me feel kind of still. For the first time, I stopped seeing my introversion as something to fix. Somewhere between all of this, my inner life was changing too. I spent a lot of time understanding my anxious attachment style, not through reels or quotes, but through reflection and noticing my reactions. I paused more. I stopped blaming myself for everything. I became emotionally lighter, not healed, but I'm aware of it. and awareness changes how you move through life. Books and shows also tell their own stories about my year. I didn't read as much I wanted to, or usually how much I used to read, but I'm okay admitting that because I was working a lot this year. I was traveling a lot compared to my previous years. So, books I read or partially read were The Psychology of Money, the 80-20 Principles, The Strength in Our Scars, Remarkably Bright Creatures, Attached, my favorite book. Then You Can Heal Your Life. I didn't rush reading these books. I sat with them slowly. And as for shows, I rewatched a lot of shows. So I'm into Korean dramas, Chinese dramas. So my list were My Demon, Eve, The Glory, Vincenzo, Hidden Love, The First Frost, Business Proposal. These were the shows that I rewatched. These shows kind of regulate my emotions and my thoughts. So yeah, health wise, I needed to be very honest. I failed here. I didn't stay consistent with walking or exercising or even drinking water. I didn't lose weight. My sugar intake didn't reduce at all. In fact, I ate a hell lot of desserts this year. Travel, staying in my hometown for almost half the year, lack of routine, all of it contributed. Instead of hating myself for it, I acknowledged it. Some years are about emotional stability more than physical optimization. Starting of 2025, I wanted to focus a lot on my health, but then throughout the year, I focused a lot on my mental and emotional well-being. So a lot of my attention went towards regulating my thoughts and emotions more than my physical health. So hopefully 2026 I'll be able to focus more on my physical health, because I genuinely want to reduce my weight, not because I'm unhealthy or something, just because I just don't like the current weight of mine. I would want to become more fit. Yeah, fitness is my goal, nothing else, just fitness is my goal. There were also things that didn't happen in 2025 which I aimed to fulfill but didn't happen. I wanted to buy a vehicle in 2025, that didn't happen. Some plans stayed as plans, and that's completely okay. As I move into 2026, I'm not confused about what I want. This year stripped away a lot of noise for me. So like I said, my main focus was on my mental and emotional well-being, as well as a lot of importance on my finance. I really wanted to figure out my finances because I wanted to be a responsible adult. So money was not a problem. Income was not a problem. It was just about handling my money. I was very bad at handling my money. So this year I changed my way of handling my finances. So I started creating savings as my commitment. I started treating my savings as commitment rather than like whatever is left out is my savings. I completely shifted that perspective. So what I do now is, like, as soon as my money comes in, first thing, all of them goes into my savings. So when I say savings, I've kind of diversified it. So I have a lot of short-term plans for the next 1 to 2 years. So I have not yet started investing long-term, but most of my funds go into chit funds, liquid funds, and gold. So the reason for not putting them into long-term investments is because I have a lot of personal commitments coming up in the next 1 to 2 years, for which I'm currently saving. That's the reason. So this was my 2025. Overall, a lot of things, I would say 50-50. A lot of things came true, a lot of things didn't come true. I really wanted my YouTube to grow, but that didn't happen. I really wanted to buy a vehicle, that didn't happen. I wanted to lose my weight, and I wanted to exercise consistently every single day, that didn't happen. On the positive note, I did increase my income a lot. There was a lot of inflow of money this year. I worked hard. A lot of people in my life helped to get me or put me into that stage where I'm blessed with enough, or I'm blessed with a sustainable income. So yes, money inflow went high, which I'm very grateful for, and I really hope it stays like that even in the upcoming years. I went on a lot of trips. I'm someone who doesn't even get out of her house, and for her to have international trips or even local trips is kind of too much. I'm a homebody basically, so I don't really enjoy the process of packing, going out, meeting people, and so on. But yeah, it happened, and I really enjoyed my international trip because it opened a lot of doors for me. The way I think and way the world is, it's really nice to travel and just look at places, look at people, look at their culture. And I would definitely want to continue this habit of traveling to a different countries every single year. I hope so. I hope God can bless me with such opportunities. Emotionally and mentally, I'm much more sorted. I was struggling with mental and emotional regulation for the longest time, and 2025 really made me work on those. I wouldn't say I'm completely fine or I've achieved where I want to be or I'm completely healed, but I would definitely say I'm much better and stronger person. Yes, so that's for 2025. It was a nice year. I wouldn't say it was a happy or sad year. I kind of have no feelings, to be very honest, for 2025 because it was hectic. I would definitely say it was very hectic year. So I'm not complaining. I'm grateful. I'm blessed. But yeah, that's my thoughts on my 2025. Now let's see how I want to go to 2026. So my goals for 2026 are very clear. There are three things or three goals I have in my mind, which are like really big goals. I don't want to tell it out here. In case if it happens, I'm definitely going to reveal it in my 2026 last YouTube video where I sit and audit my 2026 year. But yeah, those are very personal. They are personal, and I hope I would be able to fulfill those. I really hope I would fulfill those. I'm kind of scared and it looks impossible, but then I really want to achieve it. Hope the universe, hope God gives me the strength and opportunity to fulfill those. I'm kind of scared because in my mind somewhere it feels impossible, so I'm entering in with a negative thought, but at the same time I just know that the universe will give you everything that you want at the right time. So let's see. Hopefully I'll be able to achieve it. Okay, coming to what I can disclose. First, financial stability and expansion. Not reckless growth, not shortcuts, but building money is a way that feels secure, diversified, and sustainable. I want to strengthen my savings and investments. I want to be consistent with my SIPs. And I also want to start looking into long-term investments, long-term asset diversification as well. I want to create systems where money works even when I'm not actively thinking about it or actively working on it. Second, multiple income streams that feels aligned. Not hustle for the sake of hustle, but income that rewards my skills, my thinking, and my ability to teach and communicate. Third, health and physical discipline. This is an area I didn't show up fully in 2025, but I'm not romanticizing that. In 2026, I want consistency, movement, better food choices, less sugar, more drinking of water. Fourth, emotional maturity and secure attachment. I have done the awareness work. Now I want to live it. Less reacting, clearer boundaries, more self-trust in how I choose people, work, and environments. Fifth, content creation with patience. I'm not chasing virality anymore. I'm focusing on clarity, depth, and consistency. I want to create content that reflects how I actually think. And I'm okay if growth is slow as long as it's real. So when it comes to content creation, I really want to reach at least to 1K subscribers in the first half of the year and 10K subscribers by the end of 2026. I don't know if it will happen or not. So from my end, I can just improve my content, improve the way I present, improve the way I bring forward the message. But at the end of the day, a lot of factors come into pictures: algorithm, viewers, subscribers, a lot of things. So I don't know, and I really don't want to think too much on that part. But hopefully God blesses me with 1k subscribers and 10k subscribers by end of the year. Who knows, I may also reach 100k subscribers within the next year. Who knows, like, this is what life makes, like, I feel life fun. I really love to keep my standards, dreams, goals way above my reach, and I want to work towards it. That's what excites me in my life, and that's what brings me happiness, to be very honest. Who knows, I may reach 100k, hopefully. But yeah, that's regarding content creation. I'm definitely putting my efforts to, see and improve in ways possible. Let's see. Sixth is independence as a lifestyle, not just financially but mentally. Being able to make decisions without fear, travel without hesitation, choose stability over chaos, and build a life that doesn't depend on constant external validation. These goals are definitely not aesthetic, they are very structural. They are about becoming someone who is calm, capable, and self led. 2025 didn't give me dramatic wins, but it definitely gave me clarity. And 2026 is about execution: quiet, focused, intentional. If you're watching this and you're stepping into the next year with fewer fantasies and more direction, I think you're doing better than you realize. Thank you for staying with me through this reflection. I'll see you in the next chapter. See you in 2026. Bye.